Welcome back, guys. Just a reminder this week that you do have your third paper coming up, or is it the third? No, second short paper coming up on your film sequel, prequel, remake. Any of you guys decided which ones you're doing yet? And we want to have a little conversation about that. Which ones you guys are? Which films are you guys doing?
I'm gonna do The Exorcist and The Exorcist 2.
Exorcist 2.
Yeah, I haven't watched it, so I'm gonna watch it tonight and start writing on it. That's what I'm doing after class.
Have you seen Exorcist 3?
No, but I've watched The Exorcist like a million times. I know it inside and out.
If I have to recommend it, give you a recommendation, do The Exorcist 3 instead of 2.
Really?
Yeah, 2 is...
Wouldn't it kind of be like mess up the plot? Like how I'd be writing about it? Would I have to like fill in the blank? You know what I mean?
No, 3 actually has more to do with the first film than 2 does, if that makes any sense.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, 3 is a really good film. So 2 is a complete, what's the lack of a better word, shit show. It's an awful film. So
Oh, Lord.
yes, 3 will lead you to a good place. Remember that it does a lot of interesting stuff with that detective character from The Exorcist, the one that didn't get a lot of development in the film. They do a lot with him in 3. So yes, it's really creepy. I definitely recommend it.
Okay.
Because you can do 2 if you want. Sometimes watching really bad movies make for fun papers like that too. What are the rest of you guys thinking?
I'm going to do Hannibal and Silence of the Lambs.
Hannibal?
I'm doing The Conjuring 2.
All right.
I'm doing Silence of the Lamb, but I'm doing the Red Dragon, and I really wrestled with that because I know that from what I can gather, Hannibal is the better of the two. But I looked at the budgets of those and comparing it with some of the things. I thought it was kind of intriguing to see how I would do a pre look at it. I'm glad I did. I mean, I'm finished, but I got to redo my mistakes. But I found it very interesting, and I found it very interesting to how great it made me like the Silence of the Lamb even more. Though the Red Dragon was to me a good movie, it was okay. It was a good movie. We are learning in this class. We're learning what to look for. And I saw that. I saw what was missing. I hope I did. I hope I can bring it across in my paper. I think I see a lot of things that's missing in Red Dragon that you would have thought that they would have incorporated because of the success of the Silence of the Lamb, but they didn't. So anyway, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I like that film. It's not as good as Silence of the Lambs, though. I agree.
And there's a couple of reasons, and I think it almost could have been. I really do. I think it could have almost been, but there's a lot of things, little things that I noticed in this movie that are lacking. That I think it's interesting to do this.
Ralph Fiennes plays a really creepy villain in that.
Doesn't he, though?
Yeah.
Wow. He is really good in this. He rivals Buffalo Bill, I think, very much so. But now that's about the only measure that I could equal both movies. But they both did a good job. Buffalo, Ted Levine and him do a great job as the total idiots in the movies.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear your opinion of the Manhunter film, because that's the '80s red version of Red Dragon. Yeah, if
Manhunter.
If you're curious, check that out. It's the '80s version. So that movie was made even before Silence of the Lambs, but it has like it has a Lecter character and stuff. It's red. It's the same as Red Dragon, but it's like a lot different directed and stuff. So
It's not written by the same, because Red Dragon and Silence of the Lambs were both written by the same novelist or the writer. His name has slipped me.
Thomas Harris. Yeah.
Yes. But I'll look into that.
Yeah, Red Dragon is Thomas Harris's, or Manhunter is Thomas Harris's Red Dragon. It just has a different title for some reason.
Okay.
Corey, what are you thinking about?
Say what?
So what film are you thinking about doing for your paper?
The Thing, the
Prequel.
prequel
Right.
to it.
Have you gotten a chance to watch it yet?
Not yet. If you haven't noticed yet, I'm a procrastinator, so I'll probably watch it not today. I will get to it as soon as I can, but not today.
No judgments here on the procrastinator part. I spent all of my academic career procrastinating, and then I got to the point that I had to write a doctoral dissertation, and I realized I couldn't do a 250-page book project the night before it was due. So that's when it finally broke me. So.
Well, the goal is to get a master's, so I'll probably learn that at some point. So I'll tell you, I didn't procrastinate as much until I got into college and I learned that I was paying for these classes.
Right. Yeah, so yeah, I'll look forward to reading the guys' papers. Sounds like you guys all have something good. Kirsten, I didn't ask you what you were thinking about doing. I don't know if you have your mic on. If you want to chime in, you can always type it in the box too if you want.
I hadn't really thought about what I was going to do. I was thinking maybe The Thing, just because I've seen the sequel on Spanguli and I didn't understand it, but the effects between the two are majorly different, especially when it came to the monster. So I'm thinking maybe do that one.
Cool. You and Corey can compare notes and see what you guys have to say. I've only seen that movie once. I do know that Thing remake or prequel. I do know it's on HBO. So if you want a place to watch it, I do know it's on there. All right. So today's film then is what a great film for the 20th of April to do, right? The Big Lebowski, right? When I was doing my syllabus earlier in the semester, I originally wrote something else in, and then I wrote the Big Lebowski down for the Thursday class. And I was like, nah, the Big Lebowski has to go on the 20th of April, just because it is such a good counterculture type of film. So this movie is made in the 90s. I think it's 98, if I remember. Directed, of course, by Joel and Ethan Coen. We already know that name from this class, from No Country for Old Men. They also directed that, of course. So one of the few directors in this class we get 2 films from. I think they might be the only one this time that I do 2 films from. Normally I do 2 films from Stanley Kubrick as well. We do 2001, but we only did 2001 this time. So Coen's, just like the No Country for Old Men, they're mostly known for 2 genres, right? They're known for doing good Western type films. I don't want to pin them. They're a director that's hard to pin to any one genre, but they've made some great Westerns and also some great comedies. This is one of their great comedies. Which you guys also know some other titles they've done. Old Brother, Where Art Thou is one that they did. I know Crystal's a fan of that film, and you guys make reference to it a lot. Fargo is another great comedy that they've done. It's a very dark and twisted and messed up type of comedy. So if that's your thing, like it's so perverse it'll make you laugh. That's what Fargo is. So it's so weird that it'll make you laugh. So yeah, I would recommend that one too. I might actually do that one next time I teach this class, just because it's been a while since I've went back to it. So that's some of the comedies they're known for. Some of their actors in the film. We get lots of good actors in the film. Jeff Bridges, of course, plays the dude. I love Jeff Bridges. He's a Coen Brothers mainstay. He was also in True Grit, the True Grit remake that they made a few years ago. If you guys have ever seen the old Western True Grit with John Wayne, Coen Brothers remade it a few years ago with Jeff Bridges. It was
I like the remake, and that's for a John Wayne fan, and I like the remake better. I love Jeff Bridges in that. I thought he was really phenomenal in that movie.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I actually like the remake better too. It's something that I don't say much, but they did a great job with it. We get a bunch of other actors in the film too. Julian Moore plays Maud Lebowski, right? Julian Moore plays that part. You're doing the Hannibal movie, Bill. She plays Clarice in that movie.
Yeah.
So you see her there. She's in a lot of stuff. I mean, I'd have to look at her IMDb page, but I've seen her in a ton of stuff. She played Clarice in Hannibal, sequel to Silence of the Lambs. She played a really good part in a good sci-fi movie called Children of Man. That's a good sci-fi movie I would recommend. She's in The Kingsman. I remember the last Kingsman movie. She was in that. She's a very prolific actress. We have Sam Elliott, who plays the narrator in the film, who kind of like breaks the fourth wall and like looks directly at the camera and stuff. So we have Sam Elliott's here. We got, of course, John Goodman steals the show in this. John Goodman steals the show. Like every time I watch this film, John Goodman steals the show. Like he owns this movie with his part. You guys know John Goodman from Roseanne, right? He was in the Roseanne show. He's in a lot of these Coen films. He was in Old Brother Where Art Thou?
Yes.
Too.
He was Big Dan. The Bible salesman.
Yep. Yeah, John Goodman. Yeah, and of course Steve Buscemi's in this too. He's the other guy who bowls with them.
Yeah.
Who dies at the end. Right. Yeah, Steve Buscemi's a very popular actor too. He's known for his he's often in memes because of his like cross eyes and stuff. You guys have probably seen him in a bunch of memes.
He's in a lot of Adam Sandler.
Adam Sandler. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. A lot of Adam Sandler movies. I'm a huge fan of Adam Sandler.
Crazy eyes.
And he calls him Crazy Eyes.
Yep. So great cast here, right? Very, very great cast here. And Bunny Lebowski, Tara Reid. She was prominent like in the late 90s, early 2000s. She's kind of disappeared since then. I don't think I've seen her in much since the late 90s, early 2000s. She was kind of popular there for a short bit. So, where to even go with this film thematically? There's some deep stuff going on in this movie. Questions what, right? This movie has a lot under the surface, I think. So I'm not even going to steer us one way or the other. I'll let you guys guide this conversation. What did you guys think of this movie, The Big Lebowski? Have you seen it before? One last thing I want to mention before I set you guys loose is this movie did flop at the box office when it came out. This is another famous flop film. However, it has since gained a cult following. This is definitely a cult classic. They even have like a Lebowski festivals and stuff now, like different cities do. Beckley even did one a couple of years ago, if I recall. They even have like Lebowski festivals and stuff. This is very much a cult classic. It has gained this following. So yes, now I'll set you guys loose. What's your guys' general impressions of The Big Lebowski?
I had a feeling that I was going to go into this movie laughing a lot more than I did in Blazing Saddles, and I was right. Non-stop laughing. And I think I figured out the reason why. I don't necessarily like the slapstick stuff. It's the funny little jokes that they say, like the words that are coming out of their mouth that's so hilarious to me. What? Or really, the first laugh I had, and this is so stupid. The first laugh I had in the movie was the dude was writing something in a check and it was 69 cents. And it's so stupid, and I laughed at that. And like the other Lebowski being like, I don't blame anybody for losing my legs. A Chinaman took it away from me in Korea. Like, it's just little stupid jokes like that that's just hilarious. Steve Buscemi's character questioning everything and like being 10 steps behind everybody else. Was hilarious, or it was hilarious. And John Goodman being like, Donnie, shut the fuck up.
You know what got me though? I can't remember the character's name, but it was one of the fellas on the opposing bowling team. The tall dude. I think he was maybe Latino or something.
The Jesus.
The Coke nail. The Coke nail is what really got me. Like that just cracked me up. I don't know if y'all caught it or not, but I just died every time I saw him. I could not stop looking at that.
Everybody in this movie just did beautiful. Like everybody had at least a couple really solid jokes. But like you said, John Goodman's character, Walter, he's amazing. Because he'll say something that's like kind of, at least like kind of, he'll say something intellectual right after being so over the top, confidently stupid. And it's just beautiful. And here he is talking about like how it's Shabbat or whatever, and I think that's the right word. And he's like, I can't do anything on the Sabbath, and he's like, dude, you're not even friggin' Jewish. I was like thinking he was actually Jewish. He said, you're not even Jewish. I'm like,
yeah, he married into Judaism.
He had this infatuation with his ex-wife or something still. That's why he still acknowledged the holiday.
Yeah, that's right. The gentleman that played Jesus is he plays in Old Brother Where Art Thou. He's also in a lot of Adam Sandler movies, and you see him in everything. I mean, that guy's got to be rich from these these characters he plays. I think he is a tremendous actor. He's really good. He's one of my favorites. I thought he was great in this movie too.
That character is so popular they even thought about doing like a sequel just about that character. I know.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Mm.
I don't think it ever got greenlit. It was in talks for a while. That Jesus character is so popular
Yeah.
in this movie.
Yeah, his dress, his style of dress was hilarious, and all the rings and all. He was one cool dude. He wasn't the dude, but he was cool.
His famous line is "You don't f with the Jesus." Yeah,
Yeah.
that's his famous line, right? Other general thoughts, impressions of the film. The humor resonates more with Corey this time. What do the rest of you guys think?
I liked it a lot better too. I thought the plot was like so much for like a goofy, you know what I mean? For it to be supposed to be a comedy, goofy movie. But I liked it a lot.
I've never seen a movie kind of, built around bowling. I've seen baseball movies, I've seen football movies, and I've seen all kinds of different movies. I've never seen one around bowling, and to me that alone is hilarious, and they're absolutely desire to go bowling. Everything something bad would happen, John Goodman would want to go bowling, So I just kind of thought that was a little bit, and in the movie, as we're watching the movie, you're hearing these pins get knocked down throughout the as they're speaking, and that was just funny to me. I don't know, it's just something that caught me off guard a little bit.
I died when they pushed him out of his wheelchair. I was eating snacks and I spit it everywhere. I started cracking up laughing. I did not expect that at all.
Yeah, I was anticipating that he would get up. That's why it was so funny to me, and that noise when he hit. But I kept thinking, all right, he's faking it. And when he picks him up and throws him out of the wheelchair, he just lays there face down. That was a good scene.
Yeah, it's got lots of interesting moments like that one. I think one of my favorite lines in the movies when he's talking to Sam Elliott at the bowling alley. Sam Elliott's like, "Do you really have to cuss that much, dude?"
Yeah.
He's like, "What the F are you talking about?" He's like, "Have it your way, dude." It's almost like a
Yeah.
little inside joke and like why are they cursing so much in the movie and stuff.
I know when in the first couple of scenes there, the guys come in and they're gonna try to put his head in the commode to get answers out of him, and so they keep pushing him down there in the commode. He lifts him up and says, "Where is it?" And he says, "I don't know. Push me down one more time so I can see if I can find it." I mean, that was hilarious. I just thought it was great. Let me look again. He really was a dude, wasn't he? He was a dude.
Yeah, then he pees on the rug. He's like, "Does it really have to do pee on the rug?"
I was surprised by how many quotes there are in this movie. Well, yeah, that's just your opinion, man. Like I had heard that I don't know how many times, and I never thought that was the Big Lebowski. And I remember, like in 2012, a meme was John Goodman with a gun saying, "Am I the only one that gives a shit about insert thing here?"
Yeah,
But
about
I was just gonna say, this movie's just filled with stupid quotes that you could just repeat with no context.
Yeah, I noticed that too. Y'all probably haven't seen it. You might have, Corey. There's a meme where they use the audio from where they're putting his head in the toilet saying, "Where's the money? Where's the money?" and it's put over. I don't know what it is. It's I feel bad because it's not funny, but it is funny. It's I think it might be Romanian or something. Some man is baptizing a baby, and he's like dipping it in the water over and over, and he's like, "Where's the money?" And it's the funniest thing I have ever seen, honestly. Do you know that one, Corey?
I've seen the video, but I've never connected it with the Big Lebowski. That's hilarious. I need to see that.
Yeah, you should link us to that here, Nicole. I'll watch it after class.
I'll get right on that. Give me a second.
Kirsten, Ryan, what's your guys' general impressions? I'm especially interested to hear from you, Kirsten, after you did Blazing Saddles the other day. See, what's your thoughts on this movie and its comedy? Did this comedy resonate with you?
Um, I was kind of hoping it was more like Up in Smoke when I heard it was a stoner film, but I kind of got more of the Bad Santa vibe off of it. So that was more of my thing with it. But then I wasn't focusing on it that much this weekend because of my second COVID shot. So I thought it was pretty good.
Did it knock you out the second shot?
I got sick.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty bad. And I know when I took mine, it was bad. And Nicole, you actually had to go to the hospital, didn't you? You got yours.
Yeah, it was really bad. I don't know if it was something on top of it, but I was just very, very, very sick.
Yeah, interesting. Guess now we can kind of dive into what the heck's this movie even about, really. Where's the substance here? I think there's some substance here. Otherwise, I wouldn't have put it on my syllabus. I think there's some substance here, but questions what's the substance here?
I think, and I don't know if I'm overreaching or if I'm looking too far into it, but I think there's a little bit here about kind of the wealth gap. A little bit about the wealth gap because we see Lebowski, who is, your everyday average Joe, maybe even like low income status, I guess you could say. And he's interacting with these incredibly rich people. Everyone that he's interacting with, as far as this case goes, almost everyone is insanely rich for one reason or the other. And you can see how they look at him because of his status. I don't know if you all caught that or not.
I didn't, but that makes sense. Honestly, I had a feeling, like right at the last 20 minutes of the movie, that there was a deeper meaning to it. But of course, for the first hour and 20 minutes of it, I was enjoying a stoner comedy. So I hadn't really paid attention to the themes up until basically the story was over.
Yeah, I had that too. I didn't catch it until, the dude actually goes to meet with the other Lebowski. And I can't remember exactly what he said, but he's like, "Where do you work? Do you have a job?" So and so, like, your job and your status defines you as a person and defines your value as a person. And I was like, huh, accurate.
He pretty much tells him to get a job, right?
Yeah, and then meanwhile, his old lady's sitting there prostituting herself out and owing people money all over town. So that's also a reflection of him. But I was listening to y'all's comments. I just had somebody in here. But I enjoyed the movie too. I always have to touch back, I enjoyed the movie too. I really didn't even know what to expect. I usually will read, what it's about or something before I watch, but I didn't. And so I was kind of taking it scene by scene, and that kind of, I'll do that sometimes to watch a movie just because it leaves it a little bit more interesting. So I enjoyed it, and Yeah, I thought that the old man was pretty conniving. I mean, that shows just, I mean, I guess as a theme in the movie, you could go with maybe he had been disgraced so much that he was just over it, or maybe he just wanted a way to hide some more money because she had taken so much. I mean, you just really kind of don't get to the root of him, I don't think.
I'm interested to hear what you think about, because you said you're a fan of old brother, Crystal. Do you notice some similarities, and since it's the same directors, did you kind of get that vibe that they were the ones behind the camera, just like in Old Brother, Where Art Thou?
Yeah, I mean, I knew that they were, it was the same directors or whatever, but yeah, I seen some similarities, like in the comedy and the type of comedy, because if you don't like stupid comedy, you're not gonna like Old Brother. But yet it still has a good meaning in the back of it. Like in Old Brother, he's out for love and he's doing what he has to do to get his wife back. Well, here this old man's trying to get his old lady away from him. You got these guys, and Lebowski's trying to be as honest as he can, and it bothers him that John Goodman wants to just rip the old man off, but yeah, he's a hot mess. But yeah, I've seen some of the similarities in that.
Yeah, I certainly saw the similarities in that type of comedy. I saw a lot of things that reflected the old brother kind of thing. One of the things I saw, and perhaps this was what I thought the part of the theme might have been, was friendship. In Old Brother, Where Art Thou, there's 3 prisoners that escape together, and they stay together practically the whole movie. In this particular movie, the Big Borowski, there's these 3 guys, and they're very good friends. Though, like with your best friend, sometimes you can say something that no one else could get by with. You wouldn't know that John Goodman's character and Jeff Bridges' character were so close, but they were very, very close. So I think there's a friendship theme that may lace around this whole movie, because it was Jeff Bridges's problem, or the dude's problem. The money, the rug, the case with no money in, and all this. And yet our Vietnam hero is going to go up there and he's going to kill people or whatever it takes to help his friend. And of course, at the end, when they're taking the ashes of their other friend, you get a sense of some real serious heartbreak here. Then the comedy rolls in when he gets rid of the ashes, and they're all over his glasses and all over him. So with good humor, I think sometimes you need a serious moment to get you back where the comedy wants to really take you. So I think there was a little bit of a friend outline here. Friendship.
Yeah, I love that, Bill. That scene you just mentioned with the wind blowing his ashes. That's their style. That very like dark, twisted
It is.
comedy that they're very famous for. Like that's a very dark humor right there, right? That the ashes just blow back on him. Then their reactions. Well, let's just go bowling.
Yeah, that was the next line. I mean, I'm telling you, bowling is the center of this thing, and you can't bowl without friends. Let's face it. I was now I'm very particular on movies that I normally watch. If I know that something's got a lot of vulgarity or curse words, I normally won't fool with it, and within the class, I'm good with watching it. It's educational. It's art. I understand all that. But I did think that, and even though I counted at one time within a matter of just a few seconds, maybe 30, maybe a minute, there was 12 F-bombs that hit the thing. Now, I guess I am being critical of the movie in that part. I believe sometimes you can take it so far that it can be offensive to a lot of people. And we are in an age of not offending anyone. Well, I don't have virgin ears, but nevertheless, after a while, it can get a little bit heavy. But all in all, I really do like the movie because I love this type of comedy. It's just right down my alley. Crystal and I there's times when we're watching movies like this, and oh brother, we'll have to stop the movie. That's how much we like what we call stupid comedy. But these guys, I'm going to watch their movies. I'm telling you, I didn't realize until this class that they were the, directors of Even Old Brother. Now I've watched this one, and it's really hilarious. They've used a lot of the same people, and I love Jeff Bridges, and so I'm going to take in some more of their movies. They're really good.
Yeah, the point you made about vulgarity is interesting because if you think about some of their other films, like even we watched No Country, right? There wasn't a single F-bomb in No Country. So I don't remember there being any in Old Brother. For some reason or other, they found it necessary to use it so much in this film. They even made the joke about it. I mentioned about how Sam Elliott.
There was a lot of GD in Old Brother.
Oh, was there?
Yeah. And like Dad used to, before this class, if a movie started out and they was cussing, he'd turn it off. It didn't matter how good it was, didn't matter nothing, because it totally took away from the movie. The language was so overbearing that it took away from the movie. And it never really bothered me. But the older that I've gotten, I'm kind of the same way. If a movie just overdoes it on that, it's overkill to me. And you're thinking about that instead of what's really going on in the movie. It kind of takes your attention elsewhere. So I can see why, he's like that for more than one reason.
I definitely see y'all's point there. Sometimes overusage of it can totally draw away, but I felt like that at first too, but I thought about it. I feel like the usage of all the vulgar language kind of tied in to the characters, our main characters, dude and his buddies and whatnot, their unwillingness to conform. Honestly, that's how I kind of took it. Like, I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but I think that it added to it in that way.
That makes sense. You can even sum it up with that line that we were just talking about with Sam Elliott, where he's like, could you not cuss so much? And he's like, what the F are you talking about? that was kind of the point right there. That is almost the point of the movie, or the point of them cussing.
He is the dude. He is definitely the Fonzie of this movie, and he's a cool dude. If that's what makes him cool, and that's what we have to relate, that he's cool. That's who he is. He's not going to go with the establishment. Hey, I grew up during the hippie days. I totally understand the lingo. I've seen it. I've been with the people that, hey man, how's it going? Cool, mellow. How often have you heard the term mellow? But the dude is really the dude. He is a cool dude. He's not going to let the establishment get it over on him. And so when they took his or messed on his rug, he's gonna get a rug back. He was bent on getting a rug back.
Yeah, you guys talking about the establishment. This movie wasn't made during the early 90s, but it takes place in the early 90s. It's got that whole Persian Gulf thing behind it, that whole subtext. Saddam Hussein even shows up at one point in the.
I was about to ask because I noticed it too. I seen like the guy in the scene and he's giving him the bowling shoes. I'm like, is that Saddam Hussein?
Yeah, that's what that was all about.
I was legit like, is that Saddam Hussein? And then I saw a name tag and I was like, wait a minute, let's rewind. What is that? And sure enough, it said Saddam.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask like what the frig that was supposed to mean because they mentioned Iraq like 3 different times in this movie.
It's 95, isn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you think about that time period in America, I mean, Americans were for the most part all up to the establishment then, right? Like the Persian Gulf War was not an unpopular war as far as like going to liberate Kuwait and all this type of stuff. But there was a very strong anti-establishment rhetoric against George H.W. Bush, especially. You guys might know that song "Keep On Rockin' in the Free World" by Neil Young, right? You guys probably know that song. Yeah, that's very much that's the same sort of anti anti Persian Gulf War song that Neil Young came out with. Keep on rocking in the free world. You guys know the song. So yeah, like this whole anti-war meaning and all that. I think that's my hypothesis, at least, of why you get a lot of that here. They showed H.W. Bush at one point in the movie,
they
like
did.
a flash, like a news clip or something. I was a really young kid at that time, so I can't really speak too much more than that. I don't know if some of you who were around then want to speak more to that about the early 90s and that Persian Gulf and what people in America were feeling.
Just like with any war, there's conflict, but it was as though at that particular time, early on, people weren't really against what was happening. They were, but as time went on, we began to see a decline in the, as we lost more people. And that's normally the way wars are, as the nation begins to lose more and more people and that number grows, then we normally get restless and want to see our troops come home, whatever. But in some ways, we're still there. So once you plant yourself there, you're there for a long time. It certainly, John Goodman's character was totally engulfed in the Vietnam era, and we almost brought those two times of war together in this movie.
Did you want to say something a second ago, Nicole?
It was a bit off topic. If anyone else has anything to say about this, go ahead before I go off my little tangent.
We'll go ahead.
I was just going to say, I found it really interesting that all of this really started, over a rug. I found it interesting that this rug was so important to him that he decided to go to whoever they were originally after to get justice for his rug. And I think it speaks to really the average American. Like, the small things matter. Like, small injustices can seem like huge ones. And it's something that I don't know how to really communicate it. I hope y'all know where I'm going. Like,
Kirsten, you want to talk about MacGuffins? You did your paper for me on MacGuffins. You want to talk about how this is a MacGuffin?
Well, when I was doing the research for my paper, I did find out that the rug was kind of like his MacGuffin, um, or the plot device that really just kind of fades from the film, and you don't see it again, or if you do, it's like way towards the end. But from what I've seen is the rug kind of set him off on his journey. Um, and in a way, it's almost like in Casablanca with the letters of transit. Very similar to that. Something so small it doesn't even matter, but it sends them off on some sort of journey. And changes them.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what that means, right? An object that sort of sets a plot in motion, right? Just like the letters of transit and Casablanca, right? The rug is our MacGuffin here, which is even funnier just because it's a rug, right? It's inconsequential. It's even an ugly rug, right? If you get that, it's not a very pretty rug that he's mad about.
But have you ever had something to go wrong or somebody to do something to you and it was so stupid? I mean, if it would be someone took a paper clip off my desk and me just be so enraged, and it's not about the paper clip at all, but you take that out, it's like, well, that was my paper clip. That was pink, and that's what I wanted was that pink paper clip that day. I believe that we can get focused on the wrong thing. And obviously, he was not living his best life. You know, he was down on his luck because him and his wife had divorced. He's drinking. Oof, I can't even hardly stand like milk and alcohol. But you know, he's got he don't really have a whole lot going for him. And then these guys come in and work him over on something that is not even has to do with him. And then, you know, they shove his face in the toilet, but yet they're going to pee on the rug. Well, okay, now we've got issues. I want my rug, and you know what? Since they were coming after you, it's your fault. So, yeah, I mean, I definitely see how you can get sidetracked to the wrong thing just because that was the one thing in the middle of your rant that you got mad about. I think that's what makes it so funny.
I can relate to that. I have a specific moment that I can really relate to that. It was my senior year. I was come to school 5 minutes late and somebody had parked in my spot. And when the year started, I went 2 days early and bought the best spot in the whole lot. And I'll tell you, I was really mad about it. I mean, I had a 2000 Cavalier, and I was really thinking about just getting as far back as I could and running into this person because that car was bought with daddy's money. And I would not care to sacrifice my little 2000 Chevy, or not Chevy, Cavalier, just to have them have the same issues that I did. Like, I was mad.
Things can make you so mad, or if someone's done your friend that way, that you get so angry, you take and you beat a Corvette up because a young boy won't give you the money. He don't have the money, and you beat somebody else's Corvette up. Wasn't that one of the funniest things you've ever seen in your life? I mean, I cracked up. I rolled. I was by myself and I rolled and laughed, buddy. It was just hilarious.
I think that could tie in. This is something that I noticed. I don't know if y'all have noticed either. A big theme, I think, in this movie was misconception, because there were so many misconceptions that fueled all of the conflict. Every single conflict in this film was fueled by a misunderstanding, a miscommunication, or a misconception.
I did notice that. I just thought Walter was an idiot, to be 100% honest. So, That
Probably
probably
made it more hilarious.
I thought the
Yeah.
same thing with the suitcases, and then at the end there was nothing even in the suitcase in the first. Thought the same thing.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Corey, I remember Corey the other day mentioned that he had seen that scene before where John Goodman says, "Do you know what happens, Larry?" Right?
I've seen 3 different versions of that before I even ever watched the movie. I first saw it completely out of context in like a weird news YouTube thing. Uh, North Korea said that they weren't gonna accept Americans into their country. And then it immediately cut to John Goodman saying, "Do you see what happens, Larry, when you fuck a stranger in the ass?" And it caught me so off guard that I was in tears for about 20 minutes. And then I saw the scene fully a few years ago. And then I seen the censored version, which is so stupid. It's hilariously stupid. It's like, do you see what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps? It's like you're what? Like it just doesn't make any sense. But watching it this time, I finally got the context. And while it wasn't as funny to me, seeing the guy being like, "It's not my car," and then he goes and destroys Big Lebowski's car, and then they go home and they're eating In and Out on the way home. That's what was hilarious to me. They're just like eating, and the dude's just sitting there, just like obviously very agitated.
I love Larry in that scene. He never says anything. He just has that like punk kid look on his face, like that. Yeah, that's all it takes. Like the kid never says anything. He just sits there with a look on his face. That's all it takes.
And that's kind of a director thing, I believe, because the only other movie, of course, I can relate to is Oh Brother. Delmar is a very quiet in that movie. It's like he's real quiet, but when he does something or says something, it is absolutely hilarious. So Larry was that friend that when he would start to ask a question or say something, John Goodman's character just told him to shut up, and he would shut up that quick. Those things are funny to me. It's just hilarious. He just had that kind of control. Shut up, Larry.
I love when they're going back and forth in that interrogation scene, you could really call it. And the dude's like, "They're gonna cut your dick off, Larry." And then Walter's like, "You're killing your father, Larry." And when when they both walked in, and I see a guy with an iron lung, that's one thing I wasn't expecting to see was a guy in an iron lung.
Walter had to tell him how much he loved his screenplays and all that good stuff too.
John
Yeah,
Goodman, I'm sorry. Go
or
ahead.
you go ahead, Chris.
I was just gonna say John Goodman's always going off on some rant about something, like getting on his soapbox about something or other. And it's also nice to be sitting here discussing a good, fun-loving, like light-hearted type movie, because a lot of ours have been so heavy and dark. And even though we've had some great insight with them, it's nice to sit and laugh about the I don't know, the freeness of it, I guess, because it wasn't as heavy as what the others have been.
I agree with their Crystal. And who was it? Oh, I can't remember the character's name. It's the one that dies. Is he the one that said, "Well, it's probably not even her toe. You could paint any toenail green"? It was him. I thought. I mean, whenever I saw that he was right, through the whole film, they never take him seriously. They're always, "Oh, shut up. Oh, it don't matter. Whatever." And then you see that he's right. And I was just like, wow. And it cracked me up.
Walter was right the entire movie about it all being a setup and all that. Like from the very first 5 minutes of the movie, Walter was already right, which is even funnier.
It's almost like by mistake. Like you almost make it think, you almost are made to believe, oh, you're still an idiot. You just happen to be right this time. I absolutely loved, this is off topic, but I still just need to get it out there. When they bust through the door and they find her, and Philip Seymour Hoffman's character is saying, who is this man? Talking about Walter, and Walter is like, I am a veteran. That whole scene, Walter just had hilarious stuff back to back to back. And he even said some to the effect of, you stole $1 million from Urban Achievers, you scum.
Are you talking about the scene where he picks him up off a wheelchair?
Yes.
Yeah. Now, I love when Walter gets mad about the rules, bowling rules. Foot crossed the line, so he has to get his pistol out.
Oh, I was gonna bring that up. I love that part. I mean, I feel like every single little small inconvenience is the last straw for them. I mean, I would have loved to see in the years coming up to this and what really happened that put them so on edge.
Well, Walter's still in Vietnam. He's still in battle. I mean, his whole life is a war, and he's just. I mean, this guy. This is a great character. John Goodman. Throughout, he's always had great characters. I think he's just a great actor, and he is really good in this.
He can play any role. He's great with comedy. He was in a really
Yes.
good horror film a few years ago called 10 Cloverfield Lane. I'd recommend that one to you guys.
Huh.
He's really intimidating in that.
I watched 10 Cloverfield Lane a few years ago, and he is amazing in that. You just feel uneasy the entire time. And like, as somebody who really only knew John Goodman, like when I was little, like your first exposure to somebody is usually their animation work. So I've always known him as the voice of Sully from Monsters Inc. So to see him in any, yep. So to see him in any of these movies is, it's always jarring. It's always jarring at first because you hear the soft-hearted Sully talk about Nam and blowing up commies and stuff like that. And then when he starts like yelling and stuff, it's like, okay, this is John Goodman. This is rated R John Goodman, and your brain finally flips. But like in the little moments where he's being like vulnerable and he's like apologizing very sincerely, I'm always like, oh, Sully.
I forget about how young you guys are.
I remember him. I don't know if y'all have seen it before, but I remember him from the movie The Borrowers.
Oh yeah, I remember that movie.
I remember it very vaguely. I know he was like a villain in that movie though, and I was connecting the dots, and I was like, oh, okay.
Did we ever see him bowl?
No. He never bowls.
But he loves it. But we never get to see him bowl. That's right.
I don't think we ever see Dude bowl either. It's just Donnie.
Yeah. And Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see him bowl.
Dude in that like weird like dream sequence is the bowling ball that's going down the the lane. That's an interesting dream. He's looking up all the girls' skirts and
Yeah.
stuff. That's an interesting scene.
Yeah, I think it's amazing to think about, we get a stop and we turn on the television or we go to a theater and we watch a movie. But so much goes into this. Someone sat down and wrote this. I think that, and I'm like the type of music I like people who write their own music, that write their own lyrics. That's the kind of people I want to listen to. And it's like as though when we watch one of these movies, even a complex comedy or a drama or whatever, it's like these writers don't get enough credit. Even the screenplay writers, to turn these books into movies, it's as though we overlook, I guess we do as the public, because we're watching what's going on the screen. But to write all this down, this humor came from somewhere, and it came from the mind and the heart and the pen of someone behind the scenes.
If you remember from our discussion of No Country, we talked about how the Coen brothers are very meticulous about their screenplays. Like they don't let the actors deviate from it at all or improv
Yes.
or anything. So the two guys are geniuses. I mean, I don't think anybody
Yeah.
can dispute that.
I remember the first time I heard about the Coen brothers in that sense of how they are as writers. There's a thing I've seen where it would show the scene of a movie and the what was on the script, and it'll go through it, and usually you'll get like a little bit of ad libs here and there, and sometimes somebody will go off on like a whole tangent that wasn't even in the script, or they'll skip over a whole tangent. And in the Big Lebowski, then the one scene I watched in it's exactly how it was written. And it was the scene at the very beginning about where's the money, Lebowski? Where's the effing money? That scene, completely word for word, shot for shot, is exactly how it was written on paper. No deviations, no ad libs. Let me see if I don't know if the money's in there. Let me see if I can let me see if it's in there again or whatever he said. That wasn't ad libbed. All of it was written down by the Coen brothers.
Yeah, that reminds me of we do a lot of church plays, and they're really good church plays, and we draw a lot of people when we have them. And our director, she directs all the time, and I've had some big parts, but as I get older, I want smaller parts. And so there are times that I want to ad lib. I want to put my own thought into that, my own, but she'll stop. It's just you missed your line there. And I want to say, I don't, but I want to say, wait a minute, I'm trying to perform here. I'm trying to stretch my abilities, but it is so funny sometimes because she's so serious about staying on that script. If you get off script, the person behind you won't know what I said. Yeah, I got you. I'll try to do better. But yeah, I understand that, Corey. It's like it's the letter of the law, kind of like.
I wanted to mention too the soundtrack of the film. What do you guys think of the soundtrack? We got lots of good. There's Bob Dylan song in here that it plays a lot. We have a Stone song at the end that's a cover. Lots of like 60s, 70s era songs in this movie. What do you guys? Music's a big part of this movie. What do you guys think of it?
I, for one, loved it. I thought it really set the tone for, a stoner hippie, just really funny, really good film, I think. I loved it.
Yeah, that's
Go
go
ahead,
ahead,
Bill.
Corey.
I'm good. You go.
I was just going to say, in the 70s, and probably where the dude came from was the 70s. That's probably where he originated his abilities to be who he is. That's the way it was. There was always this music. It was Bob Dylan or somebody, a little mellow music, going on, and a room filled with smoke, and everybody laid back, peace, man. It was the time of peace. And then some of those people that lived in that age never got out of it. They almost got trapped in that funnel of the of the hippie days, and that's why he's the dude, because he didn't come out of it like a lot of people did. He's definitely different, and he's a cool dude, and so he came out honest. He came from probably the 70s or early 80s, and that's who he is.
Yeah, they played the same Creedence Clearwater song that was in Apocalypse Now. I noticed that when I was watching. I think I forgot to mention too his picture of Nixon bowling in his house.
Yes,
That's
right.
that's an interesting prop.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, one of the reasons why two guys that I always do comedy close to the end is so that you can kind of also see how all these other genres blend into comedy. If you notice, this movie has noir elements.
I was
Go
I
ahead,
was
Corey.
gonna mention it. This or this movie has a lot of scenes that remind me of The Big Sleep in particular. Like the old man that's looking for, in this case, his wife, but was something that have to do with his daughter. It very much reminded me of that. I wish I could remember like the rest of the things that I'm thinking of, but there were quite a few times where I was thinking, oh, that is specifically not, it is indirectly referencing The Big Sleep in particular, but just noir movies in general.
Yeah, Los Angeles, the city of angels, and it's such a corrupt place, but Lebowski's the one light in the darkness and all this stuff in it. It's got the
Oh.
Western in it with the tumbleweed as well, right?
Mm-hmm. What's her name? Kinda acts like a femme fatale too. Maud. She kind of acts sort of like a femme fatale, but like not exactly, because nothing tragic happens to them. Halfway through the movie, I thought that she might have been like the one piece at the end that's like the mind blowing, she was like the murderer all along type of thing, but we never really got it.
Yeah, I'd never thought of that, Corey. She does have that like dangerous sexuality thing about her, right? Like those femme fatale characters from the 40s.
And there's a private investigator too. Like there was a couple things where I was like, this isn't a direct ripoff, but like it has some like little winks and nods at noir.
Yeah, Sam Elliott's character pretty much functions to anchor us in the Western genre too. Um, like he literally dresses up as a cowboy and plays himself here. Yeah, I taught this movie in my westerns class. I actually classified this as a western once. I think it has a lot of those elements. So yeah, you guys can kind of see. That's why I do comedy last, because you guys can kind of see how the comedy is a good place to see how everything else in the class adding up, in one big web. I think that's the beauty of comedy. It does a lot of stuff. If we did comedy first, you wouldn't notice all this stuff, right? So that's why I do it last. So just to give you guys a preview for Thursday, Bill, after all these F-bombs, you get a bit of more of a wholesome movie on
That's true. Yeah.
Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Thursday is The Breakfast Club from 1985. Classic, like coming of age story.
Are you serious?
Yeah, if you guys are familiar with the work of John Hughes, right? John Hughes did like Home Alone and he did National Lampoon's Vacation. He did a lot of classic. John Hughes is the director of a lot of these old classic comedies from the 80s and 90s. But this movie is a classic coming of age. It's about all these like high school archetypes. So I'm not going to say much more than that. It's very 80s, as you'll see. It's got a very interesting 80s soundtrack. Any of you guys seen it before? Breakfast Club?
I've seen it.
It's appeared
I
on
can
TV
quote it.
multiple times.
Ryan,
I
what?
I can quote it. I love it. I think that the soundtrack is phenomenal. And it's really good, especially with the age group that we have here, because these guys are not too far out of high school, and you realize like in high school what it means to be like a preppy kid or an outsider or whatever, and you have the different classes within school, and it kind of breaks that down. I really like this movie. It's one of my all-time favorites.
If I could just add this really quick, this movie that we've talked about today has surprisingly changed my dream team rotation. So now it's got to be the Dude, Bernie Sanders, and Snoop Dogg, 100%.
They actually brought the Dude character back for a beer commercial a few years ago, if I recall too.
We didn't get an opportunity to talk a lot about Jeff Bridges, but he truly is a wonderful actor. I mean, anything he plays, it's worth watching, I think.
I'm right there with you, Bill. He's one of my favorites too.
Mm-hmm.
He's sick right now. I think he's got cancer. So
Is that right? Wow.
it's a shame. Hopefully he beats it.
Yep.
All right. So yeah, good conversation today. You guys are even getting to see now different types of comedy too. Blazing Saddles and this were definitely two different types of comedy. Like I said, Wednesday or Thursday, we're going to get much more of a wholesome film. So it's very dark too, as you'll find out. There's lots of sadness and darkness in this movie too. So I will look forward to our conversation. If you guys remember, you don't have to do any more discussion posts too, except on the next Tuesday when Nicole presents on Still Magnolias, she'll get us questions. And when Ryan presents too, he'll give us questions. But other than that, I'm not too concerned about doing them from here on out. I think you guys have proven that you watch the films and all that. So I'm not too worried about it from here on out.
Really quick, if y'all get a chance, check out that meme that I linked in the chat, because it is really something. And it's one of the only quotes I knew from this movie.
I did while we were talking. I tell you, it's hilarious. I'll watch it some more.
I'm opening it up now too, so I'll give it a look.
Yeah, I looked at it and I was kind of laughing mid-class.
All right, guys. So we'll go ahead and let you guys go. Have a good evening. We'll see you.
All right. Thank you.